Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of I Hate It Here, where Sam and I spend approximately an hour to 90 minutes hating the world so you don't have to. But today's episode's a little bit different because it's going to be another themed special. We had so much success, Sam, with our AI special, right? I thought, well, what's the one thing that is super important to loads of people, but also you can be guaranteed to have loads of hilarious stories about in the news? Any guesses, Sam?
Knobs.
Close. Knobs are hilarious. I agree. And loads of knob news. Subscribe to all the knob papers. But yeah, you're really close. Sex, Sam. Sex. There've been a ton. I don't even know why. Just a ton of ridiculous stories, all revolving around sex, sexual relationships. And I thought, you know what? Let's stick them all in one place and just get them out the way. So, it's not going to be like a regular show. There'll be a theme for this. I know people are tuning in to see what's up with the Seagull Menace. Has the cull in Dublin happened yet? I'll just get it out the way and say, look, guys, I'm keeping an eye on the Seagull news. I'll keep you posted on that. So don't worry about it. Now, speaking of posted, see, I've done a segue, Sam. I hope you approve. I saw a story. This was back in June about a woman, and she'd put up, I think, TikToks, because obviously that's where all the people go in it, all the cool people. Definitely not the nutters. And she was put up a video saying that she was sexually attracted to a fence and loved it as a companion.
Where is the fence? Like,
well,
I've thrown you with that. I've thrown you with that. Yeah. The defense rest, bitch.
I'm trying to think why that question would be relevant in my brain.
Because I want to know, is it in like a public park? Do they go and meet this fence? Is it outside their garden? Have they displaced the fence and brought it inside? Where does the fence live? Like,
well, okay, so the fence, as far as I can tell, I'm just scrolling down to see if they do characterize where it is, because it looks to be in a public place. It looks to be in a park.
Local. Yeah, that looks
like
a local park.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll do the story and we'll say. I'll get your opinions, Sam. One woman took her romantic life to a new level. Right, and I think that's
of low.
Yeah, no, I think it's meant to be a joke because obviously, if you sit on a fence, you're higher up, aren't you? And she definitely is sat on it, which we'll get into. But anyway, one woman took her romantic life to a new level when she became attracted to a tall and chiseled suitor. A fence. The attraction was highlighted in a video by TikTok user Mistaya, and it has shocked some viewers. I thought that's shocking. It is a bit weird. It's in public, like, and you are just.
Yeah, if you do I hate you, mate, this is like the fourth story we've done about people being in love with something. Like, in the 90s, remember that Channel 4 documentary where the people are in love with their cars? That was a big thing in the UK for a while.
That documentary series, because it wasn't just the car one, that was the one where they did the zoophilia and bestiality one called, I think it was called Animal Passions. And it was part that. Yeah, it was part. You can get them on YouTube. It was part of. It was like a 4-part series about what they call paraphilias. Creepy cunts, my bad. That was it. Creepy cunts. It was called.
Freak of the Week. It was called.
Yeah, Freak of the Week. No, about paraphilias, which obviously are like para meaning like not normal. I guess like like paranormal. Right,
like when you mate Whitey's out and you start whispering, you go para,
para, chest pains.
You're at it.
Yeah, the classic. But yeah, and they did cars, they did animals. I can't remember. There was I'm pretty sure there was another 2. Oh yeah, I think Fat Girls and Feeders was the other one. Which is pretty wild. There was that one
I think
dude.
we've showed a clip from that guy before on the.
Yeah, exactly. This was all like, because this is back when Channel 4 used to make just wild fucking telly, like, and so yeah, there was all these like paraphernalia. So you're right. None of this is new under the sun. In fact, there's going to be a few people that we're going to get into on this episode that are broadly going to fall into this category. We had that woman who married the pirate as well.
The pirate spirit. We weren't even a pirate. Yeah, the ghost pirate.
Yeah, you remember that? And then, it wasn't even a real pirate. It was a ghost pirate. And then they're divorced now, apparently. Which, listen.
I hope you got a prenup, mate. You don't want to lose that boot either. He's going to lose half his war chest.
It reminds me actually of that fucking. You ever seen that story about that massive bodybuilder who married his sex doll, right? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know. Like, I get a lot of fucking robot AI sex doll news.
Yeah, I bet you do actually. If there's one thing that this podcast has done for you, I bet your DMs are a fucking nightmare.
Oh, I get tagged in it. Fucking love it. Why does he look like that?
Oh, it's perfect, isn't it? Like,
why does he look like that?
Bigger Moses. So anyway. He married a sex doll. This is like last year, I want to say, and he married a sex doll. But they got divorced. They couldn't even make it work. But he's moved on now. And he's now married to a new wife called Lola, who is half woman, half chicken.
Showgirl. Oh,
no, half chicken.
Wait, what? As in a doll that's half a chicken.
I look, mate. This was always going to be a weird episode, bro. Like, I don't know. I haven't got all the answers here. This is the one area, like usually.
Has he married a chicken or has he married a doll? But
it's half woman, half chicken.
Yeah, but which one's got the brain? Like... Which one's brained? Which one is it? A chicken head or is it an human head?
You're doing the mermaid question.
Yeah, well, it matters, but because if it's a chicken that he's put gloves on, he needs to go to jail. If it's a doll that's got feathers, he's just a creep.
All right, hang on then. I'll read it to you, right? Okay, and then we'll get back to Fence Lady. A bodybuilder who went viral for marrying his sex doll has revealed they have broken up and he's already moved on. The newlyweds hit a rocky patch early into their nuptials after his doll wife, Margot, broke down and had to be repaired. He's ragging it down.
Yeah. As if he's had to take her in for an MOT.
She got a fucking puncture. Like...
Yeah, I'm going to have to replace the alternators, gone, your brake pads are fucking melted off, mate. They have to change you in the shaft, that's fucked.
This just isn't going to work if you can't get through an MOT.
I told you got to oil it, like, otherwise you are going to rip it.
While she was in the shop, Yuri Tolochko from Kazakhstan revealed he cheated on her with a different object. He's since come clean on social media and admitted he and his former wife Margot are no more, and he introduced the world to his new wife. I guess when it's an inanimate object, the divorces come through real quick. This is Lola, Yuri said to his 100,000 followers. And who's following this cunt on it? Like, who's following this cunt? Like,
he's on a party and everything. It must be a me member. There's no way he's got this many friends if he's serious, but surely not.
No, but here's the thing: if he is serious, like, he's just desperately ill. Like, do you know what I mean?
Oh, this is his first wife. This is Margot. Like.
Anyway, this is Lola, Yuri said to his 100,000 followers on Instagram. Lola has a woman's head,
so it is
a chicken's body.
Huh? How big's the chicken? But whoa. There's got to be a picture of Lola. Like, I got to see how this works.
Maybe you don't want to, because I'm about to finish the sentence, and no. I reckon you're going to timestamp it. He goes, Lola has a woman's head, a chicken's body. The navel has depth and can be used as a vagina and a penis inserted into it. I'll show you this one day. I identify her as a massive chicken.
So wait, hang on. A navel's a belly button, right?
Yeah, that is correct, yes.
But he said it's chickens ain't got belly buttons, but there's no way chickens have belly buttons because I would have seen someone eat one by now. But I've watched so many weird YouTube videos. I would have seen the clickbait title, "I eat a chicken's belly button." So there's no way chickens got belly buttons.
They shouldn't, right?
No, they don't have fucking umbilical cords. They come out of an egg. Where would the cord be?
Hang on. No, it says here baby chicks do have a belly button.
Fuck off.
It says, mate, it's there. It's on Google. It must be true.
Chicken
here it is. This is on the poultry site. All about chickens. And it says how to find a chick's navel and why it's an important sign of chick quality. There you go. That's fucking blowing your mind, that eh? Blowing your mind.
They're only there for like until they take their first step out of the nest. This one says. By the time they get out the nest, the belly button's gone. Like, why the fuck do they have belly buttons?
Well, if you've ever seen them in an egg, you ever held an egg up to a light.
Yeah, I guess that's what it's.
I've got that little bit that's on the side, like, and it goes in and holds them in place, like an anchor. Like. But apparently, a well-closed navel, so it is meant to heal up. A well-closed navel is one of the most important and easily visible signs of chick quality. In a good quality chick, the navel is well hidden in the down, and you have to blow on the down to see it. So, right, I feel like we're
something every day, but chickens got belly buttons. There you go.
We're in some insane meta tangent now because this started about a woman. About a woman who gets off rubbing herself on a fence, and now we're talking about the quality of chickens in the poultry industry. Like, this is like, me and you have fucking dropped acid or something. Like, this is a bit right. So let's go back. We have to go back. Anyway, so this woman, I'm leaving the bodybuilder as well. I'm happy for him. If him and Lola.
We got to wrap it up, but you were finishing with who? What was the end of it?
What do you mean? That's it. He's just married now. Yeah. Well, for him, but back to fence lady, right? She is pictured in the TikTok video doing. I think it's called. Is it frottage?
I don't know.
Where you get sexual pleasure from rubbing yourself up against things. Frotting. FROTTING. I don't know. I'm sure I've heard that. I think it's called frottage. Anyway, so, and that's practical. But she's got previous, mate, because she apparently was in a documentary where she married the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, that might have even been with that fucking Channel 4 one, probably. I wouldn't be surprised.
Maybe it's all come full circle. Says it in a clip. Erica is seen straddling a red fence and pleasantly talking to the camera about her attraction. I did not expect to find a fence like this here at all, Erica explained. He's perfect. I mean, this is the shape that I like so much. These angles, fabulous.
45, so we call them 45, those angles.
Yeah. Erica identifies as an objectum sexual, which is a person who can become romantically and sexually attracted to inanimate objects. In the viral TikTok clip, which has had over 1.4 million likes, Erica explains what attracts her to the fence as she touches and examines it. It does beg the question, does that fence consent? But whatever. Fences are such dangerous objects for me because they are so perfect in their geometry. The woman says.
Right. I thought she meant like as in she's had many altercations and slipped on fences. Like,
whoa, don't it? Cringe, giga cringe. I mean, I have to say there is a lot of physical stuff going on right now. I'm definitely physically attracted to this fence, and I would like to get to know this fence better. She goes on to talk directly to the fence, saying that it's sweet.
It's mahogany, actually.
Not everyone had positive reactions to the unusual love affair. Fence, blink twice if you need help, one user replied. So there you go. Objectum sexuals. You've got nothing.
It's not even anything special about the fence, but at least when you marry the Eiffel Tower, it makes sense. Like, you know what I mean? That's a pretty. Fuck. I don't know what I got to say about that.
You can't.
know. Oh my
You
god, I
can't.
can't add to it, but bring back the fucking
Yeah,
pirate spirit. I might have
there it
something to
is.
tell you.
Yeah, you've got nothing. You're out. You're just out of shit,
Yeah, I'm
Sam.
out
I
of
knew it
shit
would
for the
happen.
fence,
You're just out of
really, like.
shit. Yeah, exactly. This was another story from even before that. Because again, I do save all of these. It's just finding, when to talk about them on the show. This is the headline from the New York Post, quality publication, as we can see. I have accidental orgasms when I'm sneezing, pooping, and sleeping.
This is a fucking Channel 4 special, basically. But like, all these things, I feel like are being covered. I've never heard of the shit in one, I don't think, or the sleeping one. The
This
sneezing one
is
they've done before, like.
Canadian writer Brianne Horgan says she experiences accidental orgasms while practicing yoga, but also there are other, exercises and things that she does where she will just get orgasms. The yoga one doesn't surprise me because, like, obviously you think about like yoga poses, you think about you doing deep breathing, stretching muscles and stuff. I can
Really
totally
relaxed,
get that.
yeah.
Yeah, I can totally get that. But pooping's a bit pooping's a bit fucking wild. I'll read it anyway. Brianne Horgan made the kinky confession. There's a bit of tabloid language for you in an essay penned for Scary Mommy. I've never seen that website or publication. I don't even want to click on it. Saying she's not the only one to experience earth-shattering orgasms while undertaking everyday tasks. It's totally normal. Horgan declared, totally isn't.
Totally.
It's totally normal. Like,
percentage-wise, not super normal. Like.
yeah, definitely
Not
not.
everyone comes where they have a shit. Like.
Yeah,
It's not completely normal.
No, it's definitely not. It's impractical, especially for guys. We are sensitive humans who have bodies filled with sensitive nerve endings, so it happens. In her essay, the writer then went on to reference a 2018 study published in the International Journal of Sexual Health, which stated that orgasms can be experienced in association with varied forms of sensory stimulation outside of a sexual context. The journal says non-sexual orgasms have been experienced by people who are exercising, breastfeeding, riding in vehicles, sleeping, using drugs, and eating. Defecating and sneezing were also cited as unusual ways people could climax. Now, I remember there was again, it might have been on the Channel 4. I think we should have just watched this Channel 4 documentary. But I'm pretty sure there was a woman who, like, it was like every time she sneezed.
Yeah. I remember that. I distinctly remember a scene where she was like trying to drive, and she's like, "Oh!" like proper drama.
And it was like she had fucking fever, like,
yeah,
like you can't get in a car in the summer, can you? Because like you got your allergies, you're sneezing, coming, driving, like it's a recipe for disaster. That like, so I've definitely heard of that before, but like riding in vehicles also.
Yeah, I feel like that's a common one. The fucking vibrations, the bumps.
Yeah, that'll be fun. The sleeping one, that's. I mean, I suppose. Like,
I guess. What's it called? I mean, are they including wet dreams? Wet dreams.
Yeah,
is that what they mean?
nocturnal emissions. Like, yeah, I don't know. They did all sorts. They went on to talk to a sexologist.
That's a job.
In it. Our audience are all fucking virgins, so this episode will be enlightening. I'm just kidding, guys. I love you. Sexologist Jess O'Reilly, and she said, if you're high on the sexual excitability scale, you may be more primed to experience these weird types of orgasms. If you tend to be present in your body, low in inhibitions, you may also be more likely to have them. So there you go. Reason to get outgoing and be an extrovert at parties. You might get a fucking cheeky surprise orgasm next time you have a dump. Like, no, but there you go. Like, I don't think she's had a bad deal. I mean, would you take that if you could get a cheeky?
As long as it isn't like I don't know. It's worse if you're a guy, I guess.
Oh, it just reminds me of that bit in Peep Show.
But the thing is, it's not like you could just come whenever you want to. So it's not like it's a treat, is it? You could just do that right now. You haven't got to. Why would I rather have it randomly than on demand? So no, thank you. No thanks for that one, Genie. I'll take the next question line, please.
All right, that's fair. That is fair. I kind of in agreement with you. It sort of has to be on my terms.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sort of has to be. You know, I mean, I'm you know, that I'm deciding, not my ass. You talk. You're not the boss of me. You know what I mean? So fair enough. Right. Next article. This is also from the New York Post. You can tell I'm a fan. This one is this is actually low key. I think it might be horrifying. But this was the story. A distressed man suffered amnesia after having sex with his wife. This was a 66-year-old Irish man who was rushed to hospital because he developed short-term amnesia after an afternoon romp, more tabloid language, with his wife. The unusual incident was analysed in the Irish Medical Journal, with doctors declaring sex can be a trigger for short-term amnesia, officially known as transient global amnesia. The Mayo Clinic defines that as a sudden and temporary episode of memory loss that can't be attributed to a more common neurological condition, such as epilepsy or a stroke.
Meltosis, I like to call it. When your brain just shuts off for a few minutes, but you've all had an meltosis, mate.
I've never had proper amnesia. Like
I've had a meltosis, but
have you? When?
Yeah, it's usually like when I get a shit night's sleep and then I'm stumbling around. I remember when I went to Korea to do that CS:GO event. Actually, it happened there. For some reason, I didn't get a good night's sleep. I was walking out the hotel. And I was really high up and I had glass windows and I looked down for some reason, just made my head spin, but I just looked around. Jackie was next to me. I didn't realize who he was, but I was just scared, confused. Where am I? Then I walked the elevator, sort of calmed down, just carried on going. I was fine again. But I did just sort of spin out.
That sounds like, it's a spin out, but it also sounds like, I don't know, like bad vertigo, probably.
I don't know. Yeah, but I'm not that scared of heights. I think it was because it was really sunny as well. So, like, all the glass windows, all the sun in my eyes. I don't know.
Stroke.
Yeah, everything just all at once. So, like, bad sleep, head melted, long days. Just, where am I? I don't know who I am.
That's a bit weird. Yeah, you might want to get that looked at. I've never had.
That was years ago, but so if it would have killed me by now, I'm sure this sound but never happened again. We'll be all right.
Yeah, you run for president of America. You'd be fine. No, I've never had official head meltosis. Then, and I've been hit with a hammer on my head, and that didn't even trigger anything. Yeah, no, well, yeah, evidently, bounced right off.
Some glass windows high up, mate. Watch your head meltosis.
Yeah, oh really? Yeah, never had it. Never. Because sometimes I go to the fridge and I don't know why I'm there.
Oh yeah, but that's normal.
Like that's normal, right?
Yeah.
So
there's a whole TED talk talking about that. I think it's about dementia. It's explaining why that happening to you isn't anything to do with dementia. It shows the difference in thought. Because it's like the whole thing of, say, if you were about to go do something and then someone phones you, it's like you can only retain up to 7 bits of information in your short-term memory, something like that. Right. So if you're about to go do something and then someone phones you and then you do a bunch of other stuff and you take other information, then the thing you were going to do is now crossed off the list. Whereas if you got dementia, you sort of just never remember and you just forget everything. Everything just melts into, you can't make connections between memories.
You're telling me there's a TED talk about head meltosis?
Yeah, there is, but
I'll have to track that down. We'll have to track that down. Anyway, back to this fella. I do want to say, that would be fucking terrifying. Because that's like a premise for a fucking movie.
Oh, yeah.
You've just finished, you've blown your beans. Your missus is there. She's got afterglow and all that, but you
and
don't
he's
know
older as well. So that when you're in your late 60s, you're thinking, is this the last spot? Is this the last brain meltosis? Can we solidify after this melt?
Is this the last, the final meltdown? It's the final meltdown. Going to a home. Yeah, it's obviously, you'd be fucking terrified. And and the person who's there with you, who's just had sex with you, is going to be terrified. They're going to think you're joking at first because you're saying, who are you? Oh, yeah.
Get out the house.
Yeah. No, seriously, who are you? Why am I here? Why? what's all this on the sheet? Like, it's like, that's fucking scary. That's a legit scary thing. Like, that would be really, really uncomfortable. That'd be a terrible experience.
How
But
long
look,
did
he
Spock
said
go
it.
for? A few hours.
Says here, yeah, after he'd had sex, it took 10 minutes for him to lose his short-term memory, and he noticed the date on his phone and became distressed because he said he'd forgotten the wedding anniversary the day before. However, the man had actually celebrated the wedding anniversary, but he just had no recollection of it. He repetitively, at least he knew his wife was his wife. Like, I suppose that's something.
Right.
He repetitively questioned his wife and daughter over the events of that morning and the previous day. The rare condition usually only affects those between the ages of 50 and 70, with their ability to recall events simply vanishing. Some people who experience TGA may fail to remember things that happened up to a year prior. Sufferers usually regain their memory within a few hours. That's a scary usually, isn't it? Like, what if what if it doesn't come back?
Depends how hard
Like,
you've been fucking melted.
yeah, I tell you, I think about this all the time. You ever seen that movie, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind?
Yeah, where they
Yeah,
just
you've seen
remove
that, right?
memories and shit.
Yeah, that has to be possible, right?
Oh,
Like,
it's coming,
like,
but get ready,
yeah,
but it's coming.
yeah, yeah. I reckon out of all of the like sci-fi tech I've seen in like movies about the mind, I think the most plausible has to be the removal of memories. Now I know there's going to be some smart cunt who's like, well, actually, I'm a neuroscientist.
Oh, it's going to be a good while. Like, I'm not saying within a few years, like, but it'll happen eventually. If we're going to Mars, we're having downloadable brains, but they're both coming.
Yeah, well, I think before downloadable brains, I think the option to remove a memory, like either via some sort of electrostimulant, via
You can remove the memory by
inducing-
removing the brain.
yeah, just a guy in a white coat smoking a joint. And what we do is we induce head meltosis by putting a fucking 500 volts through your fucking dome here. Oh, it sounds good.
I shock him till it melts, and then I bring out my cool air gun, and I warm it back up, and then it's lovely and hard again.
Oh, just count me in for that. Just count me in, Doc. Like, I'm in. I'm all in. And I'll be $4,000 per melt. So, fucking hell.
Depending on how many meltdowns you have to have, that's $4,000 a melt. And if you do have a final melt, it's got nothing to do with me.
Oh, exactly. You have to sign this waiver that if it's a perma melt.
I will try my best to demelt you, like, but you might be melted for life.
You can't sue us in the result.
I am insured.
Of a perma melt incident. Like,
I am insured with the Brain Meltosis Foundation, so your wife will receive a pension, like 60 quid a week for the rest of her life. By the Melt Foundation.
Oh my god. Oh, that's done me. Like, why is the word melt suddenly the funniest thing, like, of all time? Like, oh god, fuck me. And all of this because some old man's got amnesia, like, we're just crying with laughter about fuck him, I guess. Oh, Christ.
He's fine now, we'll be right.
Yeah, it does say, recognize the man had previously experienced it back in 2015, also with that episode occurring shortly after sexual intercourse, but he did regain his short-term memory. Everything appears to be completely normal with him, apart from the fact every time he blows his beans, he has a melt. But other than that, he's sound. So there you go. TGA.
Put him in Greg's, mate, because he's a sausage and bean melt.
Fucking hell. Right, what else have we got? Oh, this one, I don't even know if there's. I can't go from into that to that. I'll have to come back to that one. Where's this one? Here you go. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll have a nice one. We'll have a nice story, also from the New York Post. This podcast, Richard Reed's, sponsored by Richard Reed's, the New York Post, sponsored by the Melt Foundation. Hang on, I've sent it in the wrong fucking thing there. My bad. I'm clogging up your chat. Right, anyway. This was A good old-fashioned wedding, Sam, a good old-fashioned wedding. And this was the story that a Mexican mayor wedded a princess alligator in a super old tradition that goes back centuries. So this is a small village in Mexico where the mayor married an alligator bride in hopes of bringing good fortune to his fishing community. So good on him. This was San Pedro Huamalula Mayor, that's the name of the place. Victor Hugo Sosa bent down to kiss the reptile more than once, while the alligator's snout was tied shut. Cheating. At Thursday's jubilant ceremony where trumpets and drums played. And the 7-year-old gator, called Little Princess, is seen as a deity that represents nature. Her marriage to a local leader symbolizes humans connecting with the divine. The alligator was then carried by locals through village streets as men fanned it with their hats. The colourful ceremony is part of a ritual that can be traced back centuries to pre-Hispanic times in the state of man, I'm terrible with these pronunciations. This story is a mess. Oaxaca, Chontal, and Hueva indigenous communities. The fishing village is part of the Oaxaca on the Pacific coast. So this story, I'm like, listen, I'm about
I
this
like
life.
these kind of. Yeah. No one's getting hurt. The alligator
Yep.
looks like they're. I mean, it's sad they got to tie their mouth up. But look, I mean, if they treat it as a god, I'm sure it's being treated well. It's got a little dress on. It's being carried down the street. Little day out.
The only part of the story that upsets me is that they tied the. See, they shouldn't have tied
it. It doesn't hurt.
That's cheating.
It doesn't hurt. Cheating. It's not like they tied it with wire.
If you kiss it and it wants to have a snap,
yeah,
don't get married to an alligator. If you can't handle the heat, Sam, stay out the kitchen. That's
I'd have
to
see a video. Like I'd have to, get.
Yeah.
I'd have to judge his demeanor or her demeanor rather. See how she's enjoying it.
I don't know if it's because we're Welsh or whatever, but like I always felt like whenever I see these like rituals of indigenous people still being performed today, it always warms my heart a little bit to sort of see like the old ways still being preserved in a in a continual sort of techno dystopia where people are having fucking brain melts induced to get rid of the bad memories and eating crickets and all sorts of stuff. It's like, for me, it's nice to see that there are still parts of the world where people still feel connected to nature. Like, I saw a story the other day, mate. It was sad as fuck. It was like some guy. He was like the last of his. They were an indigenous tribe in Brazil, and they hadn't had contact with anybody. They were still very, they were still disconnected from the outside world. And it was a small tribe, and it was like against the law to go and interfere with them and all of this stuff. And basically, this guy had been like, he was the last one of his tribe. So imagine being that guy. Like, the last of his tribe have all died out, and he was just waiting to die. And apparently, like, he knew there was people and stuff in the outside world. They had the photo of him on his obituary that they did. They called him the man in the hole, which not particularly a nice way to be remembered. But what he did was he dug several holes out in the wild. One was like a living area, one was a sleeping area. Another was like a hunting trap. Anyway. And they'd caught pictures of him, and the photo they used on the story was him like looking out of like a bush at the guy taking the picture. And so, I can't even imagine it, like what it must be like, because he's there, right? So all of his people are dead. So he's lived through a very literal apocalypse. He knows there's things outside, doesn't want to interact with them, can't sort of conceive of what that might be like. And so they said they found his body, and apparently he must have known he was going to die. He covered himself in, like, he took feathers from birds and put feathers on so he could, I'm guessing here, but like obviously ascend up to heaven. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's fucking sad as fuck. That's like one of the most, like, it's one of the sad stories. But but also on the one hand, good for him for never breaking and coming out, and within like 5 minutes of being tainted by like the decadent West, he's having a Mackie D's and wearing a pair of Levi's. You know what I mean? It's like, good for him. Like he kept it real. And so when I see stuff like this, marrying crocodiles, you can make cheap jokes, you can make great puns about it being snappy or whatever. But this guy is basically married an alligator, so the fishermen in his community can get lots of fish.
Yeah, and also if you look at the picture, they're all like smiling and laughing. They know it's not. What I assume is they know it's not going to do anything, but it's more that the mayor is showing, look, I care about you guys. I'm going to come out here and marry the croc. You know what I mean? It's more like a community event to show that, like, I care about the people in my community and I'm going to try and look after you. No, I don't think they believe that the crocodile's catching fish, but
no, but I mean, like, who know? Like, I don't know. Maybe they do believe. I mean, everyone's got superstitions and stuff. Let's leave alligator marriage, and let's talk about a man who married a hologram. There you go. This is a fictosexual man who married a hologram, but now is struggling to bond. Right? So here it is. She's not real, but his feelings are. A fictosexual man who wed a fictional computer-synthesized pop singer 4 years ago said he's now unable to communicate with his wife, but he's still in love with her. I'm going to get done on the pronunciation again.
Hatsune Miku.
Akihiko Kondo, 38, was dating Hatsune Miku, depicted in pop culture. It's got creepy now. Depicted in pop culture as a 16-year-old with turquoise hair for a decade. He's groomed a hologram, Sam. He's groomed a hologram for a decade before they had an unofficial wedding ceremony in 2018. Kondo, one of many who identifies as fictosexual, or someone who is sexually attracted to fictional characters, spent 2 million yen, approximately $17,300, on the wedding, and his family did not attend.
For some reason, I feel really bad for him. Fucking hell.
Well,
how did he spend 20 grand? What?
He's a hollow nonce. I hate to break it to you, like, he's fucking what he's attracted to.
But isn't that like the most
cartoon.
famous anime thing ever? I've seen that name.
You're talking to the wrong guy.
Yeah,
Oh my God, answer that. Like, again, there'll be someone in the chat. Well, actually, she's a vampire. And be one of them. Like,
no, it's a pop star. Yeah, it's a pop singer. It's from like an anime pop band. I can't.
You're starting. I'm putting you on a fucking watch list. Yeah, you better not. You better not.
No, but that's like the face of the emote on Twitch, right? I think. I mean, not this exact face, like not this deranged stuffed one that he's organised with the fucking.
But you haven't even dialed into the real tragedy of it all. Like, imagine getting a call from, like, I don't know, your kid. Oh, Mom, I'm getting married. Oh, great. When's the big day? It's going to be on Wednesday. Sorry for the short notice. It's I'm marrying my favorite hologram of a cartoon singer, like off the internet.
My family still show up, but all right, they would. They'd be like, well, so this might be the final meltosis, so let's all show up one last time.
He's fully melted. Like,
it's gonna be the last time you see him when his brain's still working. So let's go.
He's having a hollow melt. Right. While Kondo acknowledges his relationship might be odd, he does understand Miku isn't a real person. It doesn't change his feelings. Since falling in love with her in 2008, Kondo was finally able to interact with Miku for the first time in 2017, thanks to a gate box.
Gate box?
His fucking gate box is gone.
Someone left the gate open on his box and all the cows run out.
Fucking right. Anyway, thanks to a gate box, a $1,300 machine that allowed
the box melt.
That allowed device owners to interact with characters via holograms and even unofficially marry them. But now his 4-year marriage took a turn when support for gatebox software was eliminated, meaning that Kondo could no longer speak with his wife Miku. Now, yeah, there's lots here, isn't there? Have you ever watched? You've seen the sequel to Blade Runner, right?
No.
The new one? Right, no problem. Skip that. Um, have you seen the movie Her?
Nah.
What it's got Joaquin Phoenix in it.
I've heard of him. Joker fella climbs the stairs.
Yeah, Joker fella goes up some stairs, dances a bit, shoots someone.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, he. Well, anyway, that's I think that's a Spike Jonze movie. Guy who did like the
Yeah, I know.
being John Malkovich and all that. And that's about a guy who falls in love with his operating system.
Right.
They
Okay.
make an operating system that's like a tailored personality. You choose, you choose the voice, you choose like the personality and interests, but it's an AI,
Yeah.
and it'll ask you questions, and then based on your responses and what you teach it, it'll become more human, right? Like essentially, and sort of a bond to you. It's a really really sick movie. But I've been thinking about this loads because the reason I brought up Blade Runner as well is he has a relationship with a hologram missus as well.
So does
and
Master Chief.
is it?
Cortana. I mean, they don't have a relationship with us, a hologram. But, that's all I got for it.
I tuned out of all the Halo stuff, like so. I thought there might be some like sequel where all of that's like jumping off now, like they've gone fully Mass Effect on it, and there's like romance options in Halo or something. No. But anyway, like so, listen. I think this is all fucking creepy and weird, right? Because
Creepy freak of the week.
Yeah, this is creepy freak of the week, Channel 4. But at the end of the day, like I think we're gonna get to a place where we're all so disconnected and fundamentally fucking lonely that you will see a rise of like these synthetic relationships where as AI gets better, you're gonna have like a fucking your equivalent of Siri in your house is gonna be someone you talk to and someone that you might have dinner with, like. And watch a movie with. I genuinely think that's coming down the pipe as well. I don't think that's like beyond the realms of, like that's probably happening in the next 5 to 10 years, right? I'll see that in my lifetime, I think,
Maybe.
unless I die tomorrow.
Final mouse.
Yeah, he said the final. Yeah, but like that is the saddest part of the story. That like his relationship didn't end because him and her, weren't being creepy. Yeah, like just we're ending support. Sorry, we're shutting down her server. Like that's fucking like somebody. I'm telling you, that's like a fucking really good sci-fi short story. Yeah. All right, let's see how this creep's story ends. My love for Miku hasn't changed, he said. I held the wedding ceremony because I thought I could be with her forever. Kondo is far from the only person in the world with in a relationship with a character. I know, yeah. My parents. You know what I mean? My mother was in love with my dad, and he wasn't real. Thousands of fictosexual people in Japan have begun similar unofficial relationships with a variety of fictitious figures. While some relationships are just for kicks, Kondo's is, to him, very real. For a long time, he said he knew a human partner just wasn't for him. Christ. Due to his intense attraction for characters like Miku, a popular figure in anime and Japanese culture. Created as a synthesized voice using Yamaha's Vocaloid technology, Miku entered mainstream media. Vocaloid.
That's the name of the band. The Vocaloids.
Yeah, that sounds like if you get hemorrhoids on your neck.
I've got Vocaloids.
Oh, the Vocaloids again. Sorry, I have Vocaloids.
Final meltdown.
Miku entered mainstream media as a human, but fictionalized character in manga, anime, and video games. Eventually, she became prominent enough to tour with Lady Gaga in 2014. What's this cunt gets him out? You can't. Someone's hang on. Now I'm the.
What? Now she's out of his league. Now is she, man?
No, but like, right? But yeah, for starters, yeah, right. But like, somebody owns like you can't marry she's intellectual property. You can't someone must be able to say, hang on, you can't marry my intellectual property. Like,
I don't think anyone's asked, but he's not. You know what I mean? I don't think he's costing him much money. He's buying all the figurines, but these are the customers you want. Surely, I bet he buys everything. But
yeah, but then what about the other creeps?
let them all marry him. But
but that's bigamy.
what do you mean? What do you mean?
Hollow bigamy. Yeah, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? Skepta. Yeah, that's hollow bigamy. You can't. Cause put it this way: if I'm another creep,
Holog for me, mate.
Yeah, if I'm another creep and I'm marrying my favourite hologram, and then we get married and it's all wicked and that, and my family have shunned me, right? And I marry my hologram, and then I find out some other cunt's married to the hologram. I want to go talk to that cunt. Who are you? Marrying my hologram. I'm married to my hologram.
It's a different.
You see the problem?
Different universe, on it. Multiverses, all different characters technically in different universes.
So that's how they get out of it, is it? The old multiverse defense. Yeah, that'll be the. Sorry, your multiverse is shut down. You must file for another marriage license. Anyway, Miku isn't just famous. She also helped Kondo with his depression. Kondo first became familiar with Miku in this story is so tragic. Like, it was all fun and games when he was a hollow nonce, and now this is just ridiculous. Kondo first became familiar with Miku in 2008 after bullying at work caused him to become depressed. Despite finding it difficult to accept his feelings at first, he knew humans weren't right for him after being met with rejection. I stayed in my room for 24 hours a day and watched videos of Miku the whole time.
Probably not a great idea for the old mental health. Like,
I know maybe you shouldn't be writing stories about this fella. Like, maybe you should be saying, "Listen, bud." Put your arm around him. Listen, bud. Miku's not the answer. She did to her with Lady Gaga, sure. But fuck,
she's married to 40 other weebs.
Yeah, she's married to 40 other weebs. It's time, like. Fucking hell. I can't, like. That's tragedy. Right, okay. Here we go. Here's one. You'll appreciate this. We haven't, we'll go from fictosexual to the good old sexual, masturbation. Right? The old classic. This headline, it's just a headline, is the joke, basically, Sam. So, you don't have to give me your thoughts. Like, but man masturbated so hard he tore a lung and required intensive hospital care. Now, Sam, I'm a simple man. I like my masturbation basic, you might say.
Just a belt around me neck.
Orange in my mouth. You know. Just the usual.
None of that creepy shit.
None of that weird shit. But, like, how the fuck? Hang on, I'll just read it because maybe it explains it. A 20-year-old showed up at an emergency department with severe shortness of breath and chest pain. Doctors wrote in radiology case reports. I bet that's got some bangers in there. Like, as well as this, his face was swollen, and cracking and rattling sounds were heard from his lower jaw down to his neck and chest, going all the way down to both his elbows.
The fuck?
Cracking noises were heard as he breathed in and out. He was moved to intensive care where he received oxygen and pain relief. A CT scan found that the man had a case of profound, fuck me, I've wrecked myself this episode, pneumomediastinum, where air had found its way into the space in the chest between the lungs. Air can make its way around the body and can be picked up by physicians feeling for air bubbles underneath the skin. The condition can be caused by trauma to the lungs or esophagus, or through an abrupt increase in pressure within the pleural cavity. the space between the two membranes or pleura, which surrounds each lung. It's a rare condition and usually affects young men in their 20s. It can result from a variety of triggers like acute asthma exacerbation, strenuous physical exercise, excessive vomiting, or violent coughing. In this case, he reported a sudden onset of sharp chest pain followed by shortness of breath while lying in bed masturbating. Now, listen, Sam, there's no way he's just rubbed one out and wrecked himself like that.
Oh
There's
yeah,
no
how do you
way.
pop a lung?
Yeah, like I don't know, like, cause like if you're breathing that hard off that, you're out of shape. Like, I mean,
I
like
reckon he
that's
did have the belt out or something, but he was
yeah,
strapped up like.
carradined.
Yeah, fully. You know he stays strapped in his cupboard, man.
It's just so like, mate, that is like also, by the way, that's just terrifying in and of itself. The idea that, like, I don't know, I could be out jogging, like,
Bust a
who
lung.
would be kidding? I could be walking up some stairs, and you know, like the fucking air just gets out of my lungs and into the gap between my lungs, and now I'm just fully wrecked, and it goes wherever it wants, and you know,
Yeah, but for that to happen, you do have to tear a lung. That's your point there. That's how the air gets out. I think you
yeah,
have to
but like.
puncture a lung first, like that's step one, and then you can worry about the air that escaped in fucking part two of your fucking near life experience.
But he's tall one having a Tommy tank. You know what I mean? It can't be that hard, like. And I've seen lungs, mate. I remember when I was at school, they made us blow into some. They brought in some sheep's lungs.
I was
And
sucking sheep lung, but
no, what, do you not do this?
no, but
Uh,
I think you had a weird teacher, but
no, every time I tell a story about school, you just look at me in disbelief. No, it was right. So what happened was science. The teacher brought in some sheep lungs, and what you had to do was he
get your
took
lips
the.
around that.
That's exactly what he said. But he wasn't holding the lungs. Anyway, and you know the bit that goes up here into the esophagus and all that,
Yeah.
right? He put like a straw on in the neck hole, I guess.
Yeah.
And they had people and said, right, come over here and blow into these lungs and watch them inflate. And he was explaining how it happened. And then the kid who used to get bullied all the time in class, called Guy, he he got up and had a go. And one of the bullies, called Fisher, he ran up and fucking punched the lung while he had the fucking straw in the end, and he's just had all the viscera go back up into him. He's like, oh, at least be a win, like at least be a win. Fisher straight down to the headmaster's office. Oh mate, it was fucking hilarious. All had to go on that, blow into the lungs, and as you can see, the oxygen goes in, lung get big. Now everyone have a go on the lungs because I'm a lazy teacher. Just trying to fill an hour desperately with some offal.
You kids know tripe.
Yeah. Next week, sausages. You know. But yeah, so I don't know. Like, what I'm saying is that those lungs, they didn't even feel like hard at all. They were like.
That's where they're behind the fucking rib cage, but that's their
yeah,
fucking job.
Yeah, but like that's what I'm saying. So you know how hard
you
can
know
it be
he's
to
doing some
tear a lung?
creepy shit, but there's no way. Like, how do you bust a lung while you bust a nut? But that don't happen. Like, how have you done that? It's not even in the fucking right area.
All right, Biggie.
I reckon he had something on him, but he had an
nut.
anvil on his chest or something, trying to knock
maybe.
himself out.
Maybe. Well, listen, let's leave him in hospital, and we'll move on to this other story here, which is in the Metro, another incredible paper. We're getting away from the New York Post. That did most of the heavy lifting, and obviously, I didn't know this, but there's big business for a particular type of fetish, Sam, and that fetish is farts. Now, I don't know why people are into that, right? I don't know if it's like, oh, it's a taboo, farts. But this was Stephanie Matto.
But what's in their butt? What are the chunks
What?
in their butt? What's in the jar butt?
Right. Well, hang on. We'll
What,
get
what are they even?
one step at a time. One step at a time. Right. So this is the story about Stephanie Matto, right? Who was on one of your favorite shows, 90 Day Fiance.
It's not dog bum yet.
Yeah, she was also wanted for farting without a license. Dog the Bounty
And
Hunter
then she
was,
chose
get
Christ.
her, Leland. Get her, Leland. Anyway, Stephanie Matto, a former 90 Day Fiance star, was making £38,000 a week from selling farts in a jar. She said she would sell her farts for $1,000 per jar. And she had 260,000 people following her, and enough to be making £38,000. So if you do the conversion, that's like
$38.
Well, no, like almost $50, I think.
It's a grand a jar, isn't it? She made 38 grand.
No, but yeah, in dollars.
Oh, right.
So
Okay.
$1,000 a jar, and yet she's making £38,000. You know, so here's the thing. Like, I've always, I know this is gonna sound mental, but there was a period in my life where I thought, why not just create a sort of complete fake OnlyFans or something, and just
Shit
sell,
yourself.
and then just sell farts or whatever. Like,
I don't think anyone wants to buy yours, but I don't think
That's what I'm
it's...
saying. Not mine.
Oh,
On
right.
the OnlyFans,
Right.
you know, you get like a model to pose, and you say like, you know, I am, you know, sexy McGee, and my farts are delicious or whatever. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the attract.
I don't know why
what the-
Debbie's sisters posted that. Like,
Well, you know, hard times since Paul passed away. Innit? Magic. That's what he says after he's up for him. Magic. Anyway, the you know, and then people are like, oh God, you know, and I could be that. I could even do like live chats, you know, like obviously can't do any mic stuff, but can be typing and ooh, I can feel one come in, you know, like you can do all of that. And then I bet I'd make I would make I would have made way more money than that from esports.
get on it then.
Yeah, no, but here's the thing, like, is it immoral to lie? Or
As long as the model knows, fuck them.
Yeah, but
with the model.
And here's the thing, like, I really would fart in a jar, like.
Well done. That's brave of you, that is. Most people
Thanks.
wouldn't do that nowadays.
No, yeah, exactly. You know, they would get a fart for their money, 100%. So anyway, so she was selling them for $1,000 a jar, like. But then she she got so into the business of producing farts that she was doing 50 jars, 50 jars a week. Which I don't know. That doesn't sound that bad.
It's not that extreme, is it?
No. How many times do you reckon you fart a day?
I don't know. Twice.
Like, twice a day. Grow up.
I don't fart that much. I shit more than I fart a day, probably. I probably have 3 shits, 2 farts if I would have wagered it. Like.
That's not healthy.
Right.
Like,
I
shit
really healthy,
more
but
than I fart.
nice bit of
Think
black
about
coffee,
that.
but high fibre. Slides out.
Yeah. Oh, it does. Like, yeah. I know what happens when you have that first cup of coffee and pull the pin out the shit grenade. Like, it's time. Anyway, she may have squeezed out one too many, as she was rushed to hospital. She said, "I thought I was having a stroke."
What? I thought you were gonna say she literally had a prolapse or something, but she shit herself dizzy. But are you
Yeah,
dizzy, blood?
Yeah, she's had a fucking body melt. Like, you're farting too much. Like, full body melt. She said, "I thought I was having a stroke, and that these were my final moments. I guess I was
Fuck up.
over."
How do you think that was going to be the end of you? But protein shake and a black bean soup, and he thought it was all
There
coming
you
to an
go.
end.
You've got to head there. She recalled how she consumed 3 protein shakes and a huge bowl of black bean soup in one day before feeling that something was not right, with a pressure in her stomach that moved upwards throughout her body. It was quite hard to breathe, and because you're full of beans.
Yeah.
you
Need a
can't
fart.
be eating. Yeah, exactly. Like,
Get
you
those
can't
jars
be...
unwrapped and fucking let's do business. Like, you're wasting money there. You're
Yeah,
letting them
knocking
out for
it.
free.
It's shocking. I bet a manager was spewing. Like, it was quite hard to breathe, and every time I tried to breathe in, I'd feel a pinching sensation around my heart. That then made my anxiety escalate. You
It's
just had a
not
fart-induced panic
indigestion.
attack. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, fart-induced panic attack. Like, I thought I was experiencing a heart attack. Stephanie arrived at the hospital later that evening, but didn't tell the doctors about her career, only the changes she made to her diet. It was made very clear that what I was experiencing wasn't a stroke.
True.
I feel like I've had one after this episode, mate, or heart attack, but very intense gas pains. I was advised to change my diet and take a gas suppressant medication, which has effectively ended my business. Stephanie is now retired from selling farts in a jar, a relief to her family. But she has managed to find a unique way of making money from it. Her clients will no longer be able to own the physical jar of Stephanie's gas, but they can purchase them as digital artworks on a blockchain.
NFT shit, but
There you go, mate.
NFT farts. What does
Yeah.
that even mean?
I can't even imagine being the tragic cunt that buys an NFT of a fart. Like, what? Like, what? Like, at that point, like, you need a fucking intervention, blood. Like, what are you doing? Like, it's so ridiculous. And then, just to wrap it up, because it's Metro, you might say that Stephanie, much like her career, has
It's a
been given a
bumperclot.
second. It is an absolute bumperclot. No, has been given a second wind at life. That isn't even the worst NFT story I saw. This is not related to sex, and also is not funny. It's just disgusting. But I don't know if you saw so GameStop hosts like NFT exchanges,
Right.
and so you can go and get like NFTs and see what NFTs are being sold and all that stuff. And they on their website they showed that someone was selling an NFT of that guy that took a fucking header jump out of the Twin Towers when they were coming down.
Now.
So it's like a 9/11 NFT, like, you know what I mean? People, NFTs are just fucking. That was a grift and a half. That, Sam. They're over now, of course. I'll tell you what we have to do, actually, just while we're at this juncture in the show. We'll have to do a fucking special, like, on crypto and NFTs and all that. Because
I feel
I
like
was on them.
It's
I
too
was on the
much.
money, but
Yeah, well, it's not over though, but that's what I mean. It's like there's
it definitely
still
is.
there's still billions of dollars in it, but that's what I mean. What do you find as over?
I mean, well, NFTs are definitely more fucked than crypto, but I mean, like, it's like, all of that stuff that people said but didn't mean at the start about, like, oh, it's all about the tech. No, what you mean is it's a stock market for fucking terminally online losers. And yeah, you've been able to grift some other terminally online losers into thinking it's all legit and made some money, none of which makes it legit. But I think all the stuff I said about, like, it's going to get regulated out of existence, it'll only be the big ones left standing at the end, and even they're going to be massively devalued. All the shit coins are going to go. NFTs are never going to take as a concept. In fact, the person who invented NFTs said they would never take. I've been proven right about all of this stuff. So I want to gloat about it, and what better place to do it than in an episode of I Hate It Here? We'll get all the worst examples of NFTs and crypto technology. You don't have to come. I'll get Henry on.
So I feel like it's just gonna be you saying something's dead and then explaining what the part of it. I don't know. I feel like it's just gonna be like crypto shit. It's like, yeah, but still.
Yeah, and then we'll get all the
billion.
crypto bros. Yeah, we'll get all the crypto bros replying as well. You stay in your lane, old man. You don't know what you're talking about, boomer. They love that one.
And then also you put yourself on record. What if in 10 years from now, all the things you say are worthless and then worth billions? Then it works in reverse.
Yeah, and then someone will create an NFT of that episode and then sell it to me. So, it'll work. story relevant to my interests and the interests of Moses. The UK is a bit of a weird place. Back in May, it was deemed in the UK that insulting a man for being bald in the workplace could constitute sexual harassment. Now, the New York, they were back on the New York Post. Their opening paragraph, you can tell it's very leading here. They can tell you because it's a British story, and obviously they're an American publication. They always give us a hard time, which is fair enough. Our country is ridiculous. Boris is gone, R.I.P. But insulting a man for being bald in the workplace amounts to sex harassment in the UK. A panel of balding judges have ruled. That's what it says. Hair loss is far more common among men than women, so using the term is inherently related to sex and equivalent to commenting on the size of a woman's boobs, the Employment Tribunal said. This was originally reported in the Telegraph. The finding, made by 3 judges who lament their own lack of locks, came in the case of an electrician, Tony Finn, who sued a small Yorkshire-based family business over the term. Things first got hairy when one of Finn's supervisors, Jamie King, allegedly called him a fat, bald cunt. And he was later fired from the West Yorkshire-based British Bung, which makes wooden cask plugs, according to the outlet. The accusation resulted in the panel, headed by Judge Jonathan Brain, deliberating on if King's baldness bash was simply insulting or rose to meet the legal standard of harassment. In our judgment, there is a connection between the word bald on the one hand and the protected characteristics of sex on the other. We find it to be inherently related to sex. The ruling noted that the company's lawyer was right to submit that women as well as men may be bald, but contended baldness is much more prevalent in men than women. So too, it is much more likely that a person on the receiving end of a remark such as that made by Mr. King would be male. The finding also declared that criticising Finn for his hairless head was degrading and humiliating. Yes. No more lip out of you, Sam, or I'll take you to a fucking tribunal. You can't rip your bald bozo. This is strong language. Although, as we find, industrial language was commonplace on this West Yorkshire factory floor. Yeah, there is a fair bit of swearing in factories in Yorkshire. In our judgment, Mr. King crossed the line by making remarks personal to the claimant about his appearance. It is difficult to conclude other than that Mr. King uttered those words with the purpose of violating Mr. Finn's dignity and creating an yellow card. Right, and creating an intimidating, hostile, degrading, humiliating, or offensive environment for him. Of his own admission, Mr. King's intention was to threaten Mr. Finn and to insult him. Along with upholding the sexual harassment claim, the tribunal ruled the company had dismissed him unfairly after 24 years on the job. To be fair, if you've worked there for 24 years and one of your gaffers calls you a fat, bald cunt, it's like, and then fires you like, oh,
you fat bald cunt.
Yeah, exactly. See you later, you fat bald cunt. Yeah, get your papers, you binned. Like, I mean, yeah, that is where there's blame, there's a claim. You know, Better Call Saul and all that shit. Like, I'll be straight on to a fucking union rep. But there you go, Sam. How does it feel to know we've lived long enough in the progression of oppression, Olympics, and culture of victimhood that eventually, as I am I'm a fat bald cunt. So, I'm protected by law now, Sam. Can't touch me. Can't call me a fat bald cunt anymore. I'm landed. Like, I mean, I could also just lose some weight and not be a fat bald cunt. Like, one step at a time. Right. We'll pick one last story out. I don't want to end on fat bald cunt. Oh, here you go. This is just a funny one, not related to sex. We've done enough with the sex. I just wanted to show you this because, like, this'll blow your mind, right? This again was like in the summer. I've just never seen someone struggle with coffee as much as this. Like put it this way. During the pandemic, obviously, like people had to not go out and stay in and all that stuff, depending on where you lived or whatever, right? And some people chose to do it long beyond they had to because they're old or they're immunocompromised. Or whatever. So I'm not making any judgments about that. But here's the thing, right, Sam? If I left, right, let's imagine if you've used a coffee maker, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's imagine you hadn't. Let's melt that out of your head. And do you think if I left you alone with a coffee maker and some coffee, right? And do you think you can figure out how to get the coffee?
I think you've got someone to admit to this department, but do you remember what he did in America every time he bought a coffee machine? And then when I came up, I'd be like, "But can you have a look at this coffee machine, right? Fucking every time I use it, it fucking leaks everywhere. I don't know what's going on. Like every time I put coffee in, it's just spitting it everywhere." And I looked
I took off the spring, like I de-springed it.
He ripped the spring part out of every coffee machine he bought, and he was like, "Every fucking coffee machine I buy is leaking everywhere." I said, "What do you do with them?" I open it, I rip the spring part out, and I put it in. I was like, "What do you mean?" I open it, I break it, I turn it on.
No, to be fair, in my defense for that, like the ones I've had before, like I was buying this one particular brand that had the spring just looked unnatural. Like it was like in a week, it went right through the fucking middle of the thing. Like, and obviously I know it's a spring, but spring has to hold on to something internally.
It's like a shot release, like those old things in the UK where you have to push up to get a shot out. It's basically that with the spring
exactly.
in it, so the coffee comes out straight off.
Every coffee maker I've ever had in the UK wasn't like that. It was just literally like a little plastic nodule on built into the top, and you just slid it on and off. So when I was confronted with a metal spring that was going to be running through liquid, to fucking get on it, I was like, well, what is it? I'm not having a spring in my fucking coffee. So obviously, I was like, oh, that's obviously there for the packaging to stop the fucking glass breaking or something. So I fucking ripped that off, and then obviously when I put the jug in, pissing everywhere all the time.
That was when he said that. What do you do with them? I open them, I rip the spring out.
And you were like, well, I've identified the problem.
I open it, I break it, I turn it on. Every time broken, mad.
Step two is where you're going wrong, Rich. It's that crucial second step in the operation. Stop ripping the spring off. Yeah, that was a good day. After that, Mr. Coffee makers were my favorite. Like, perfect. I was sad. It was. I was sad when we had to retire Mr. Coffee when I had to move. Sad to see him go. He'd been a loyal servant to the family. Like, anyway, this guy's worse than me, right? And this is what I wanted to end the show on. Like, I just thought I'd give you a laugh. Like, so. Let me. So the first thing is, right, when he had to go in. So this is a guy called Jerry Saltz. So like he's. Let me get his bio for you. So he's like an art critic, right? So he's an American art critic. He's verified on Twitter. You can go and see him, like. And he's old. He's like in his 60s now, late 60s. So he basically, when he said, "Oh, pandemic's happening. There's like another wave happening. I'm gonna stay indoors." He said, like, I'm gonna do a coffee run to a gas station and buy 18 large cups of coffee. He put them in the car. Is what he says: deloused, decontaminated, showered, and then placed the coffees in the fridge. So he bought 18 large cups of coffee and then refrigerated the coffee so he could reheat them later, which, by the way...
Gonna be bitter as fuck.
That will be absolutely gopping. Like, that'll be so bad, like. Then he said he thought people were going, are you fucking dizzy, blood? Are you dizzy, blood? And he replied to one saying, yes, it is so damaged and offensive not to drink chai artisanal coffee and like NYC deli coffee and have to store it in the fridge. Horrific for you, I understand. Maybe block me. I'm not up to your high standards. Lol, what a snowflake, right? So he got upset that people called him out saying, your coffee's going to be minging, mate. So then, right? Oh, there you go. He's actually 70 odd now, mate. So he said here, right? He went out and he got a coffee maker because he had so much of getting battered online because of his stupid approach to coffee. He said, real question, no joke. I'm going to teach myself to make coffee. Explain this to me if I were 9.
You're not teaching yourself, then, are you? I'm going to teach
Yes.
myself how to do this.
Yeah.
Now, how do I do it?
Right? And then, so he uploaded a photo of his coffee maker, right? And he said, how many spoonfuls of coffee would I put in if I wanted to make 8 cups? Keep it simple, really simple. Do not recommend any other coffees or methods. I am 71. It is time, right? How do you go? How would you get to 71 and you've never used the coffee maker? I can't fathom it. Like, listen. All right, I got with the Mr. Coffee Spring. Hands up for that one. You're right to pull my card, Sam. Right? But that was one particular make of coffee that, see, no Coffee Spring on that one neither, you notice.
I bet there probably is underneath, like.
And no, it'll be built in like all the other ones. It was because it was like a fucking $30 coffee maker. And, I don't usually have just gratuitous spring action. But anyway, I've used them. That was the first time I had spring-related problems, and I still got coffee out of it. It's just some of it went on the floor, So how would you get to 71? And, it's like...
I don't understand why he's tweeting, but just fucking put a few scoops in till it looks full, press go, and find out, like, you know what I mean? Trial and error, just press go, man.
Well, the story doesn't have an happy ending, bud. Says here...
Scalded himself.
Imagine. Johnny Salts has died due to 3rd-degree burns. No, it says it. Dear everyone who was trying to tell me how to make coffee, well, no one told me where to pour the water into my coffee machine. I poured 8 cups of water directly over the coffee grounds. It overflowed all over my kitchen floor, and now there are grounds everywhere. Back to the local gas station. So, in the end of this story, nothing changes. It just returned to the status quo. And there you have it. So, any final thoughts from you, Sam?
No.
All right, then. So it's good melt from me, and it's good melt from him. That was I Hate Here. We'll see you next time. Bye.